Great. Good afternoon. I hope you all enjoyed lunch. For those of you who were in the earlier session today, welcome back. For those new to joining us, welcome to the architecture track. To this hour's or 25 minutes presentation is from a customer of ours based out of the UK. Sky is a major, the top broadcaster in the UK, and also have operations in France, Italy, and Germany. And it's my pleasure to introduce David Jambor, who runs the persistence team at Sky, based out of the UK, and he's going to walk you through their usage, implementation, architecture, and journey with Couchbase. So, without further ado, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
There's one up on the podium.
No, that's fine. Thank you. Hi there. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for Couchbase to having me here, and thank you for all to choosing this track. I will try to not bore you too much for the next 25 minutes. As I said, my name is David. I'm leading the persistency at Sky, and that means we are across all kinds of data persistence technologies, and I will talk about lots of different things on this 20 minutes, so I will try to be very quick. I'm originally from Hungary, living in the UK, now doing this presentation for you guys in the US. I can only assume that you will have some kind of challenges around my accent. I will try to keep it under control. So the first bit, which I would like to do, is introduce you guys Sky. This is the bit which I have the least experience with, because usually I don't have to do this. Sky is the leading telecommunication company and media company in the UK. We have our broadcasting. We are providing live TV for over 22 million customers. We are providing mobile telephones and internet services across 5 different countries. And we have our own content, which we are broadcasting. We also do broadcasting through satellite, through internet, and through multiple mobile devices. Obviously, a bit of marketing. Our target is to make every customer satisfied. That's what every company is trying to do. And if this works, what I would like to show, and I will probably be able to actually defend this statement, our company is the leader because we're constantly innovating. It's every single year, every 2 years, we try to come up with something new, something which would make our customers happier, would make life easier, or would attract them to stay with us. And this clipper is going to give me a bit of trouble. When I talk about Sky, I explain it's a media company. Now, everything which I will say now on, and I will say what drives us, I will talk about the infrastructure and the IT bits of this company, which is a completely different story from the rest. So what I love about Sky is we not just say that you should learn from mistakes, we take it quite literally. And probably it's a weird way to start a presentation, but I would like to show to you guys a mistake we made. What was the effect, how we try to solve it. And because we're all here because of Couchbase, I want to explain what kind of implication it had, how we used Couchbase, what kind of effect are we seeing moving forward with this. So, as I said, let's start with the mistake. In 2014, so what you need to know is we have, because of the different TV programs, we always have a number of people who can watch or request the same service at the exact same time. At 2014, our maximum number of broadband of a consistent user was, concurrent user was 800,000. So if in the same time 800,000 user was trying to request the same channel, we will be able to serve it. Up until 2014 April, our maximum number of usage was 400,000-ish. So our 800,000 give us enough headroom to trust that everything will be fine. Now, we also had a scheduling team who is deciding what kind of programs goes where. So this scheduling team is put Game of Thrones Season 4 Episode 1, which is the most viewed episode ever of Game of Thrones, and Premier League football Chelsea versus Arsenal, don't quote me for that, I'm not 100% sure. But those two programs started at 9 p.m. on the exact same time on two different channels. Now, what you see here is, in regards of technology stack, because we are an old company, we had tons of things in monolithic, and we use lots of Oracle, Redis, and everything which you may consider old legacy infrastructure. So, but obviously, if it works, why would you change it, right? So, 6th of April 2014, that's what happened. We had the spike at 9 p.m., as you could expect to see the two channel. Now, as I said, 800,000 was our top. The blue, which you see, represents Game of Thrones. That hit 800,000 on its own. The second biggest one was the Premier League went to 500,000, and we're only talking about two channels out of 120. So we obviously break. We did not have the same type of testing as we do today. So we knew that that's our maximum. We didn't really know where it's going to break. So our identification system break. That caused us 15 minutes downtime. Nobody was able to log in on any kind of system. We didn't stream at all. Obviously, we almost took down Twitter because of that. So yeah, so that was a mistake. But what I love about our leadership is they said, OK, so let's try to fix it. So I will get back to this picture in a second. We wanted to prepare, wanted to make sure that we able to serve whatever comes next. And this effect in April showed us that we can't really predict what's going to happen. So our management team says, OK, cool. So what break? What technology did we use? Let's, infrastructure-wise, figure it out. What can we do best? And they give us an expectation. The expectations was for the and it turned out to be quite a challenge. Keep the technology footprint the exact same size. So we have 2 data centers, multiple different cloud provider, and I can't even say how much resource in terms of CPU and memory in total. And what they ask from us is use the existing infrastructure footprint, but at least 5 times the performance. So that, what they actually told by that is you are not allowed to buy new hardware. You can't increase 5 times if you want to get 5 times of the performance. And you need to be able to prove it. So we obviously use all of these nice buzzwords, but we actually mean them. So what we did is we started to work on moving from 800,000, which we gracefully showed 1 million, and we said, OK, we want to get to 5 million as soon as possible. So what we did, and what was the challenge in terms of architecture-wise, and that's why we're here, everything is moving, and we are talking about a live scenario. Everything is live 24/7. You can't just say, OK, I scrap that, I build something new, and then I will just fail over. So on that time, we had 4 different main departments, technology-wise again, which the first one is OTT. That's my home. OTT is over the top, is a media term of showing anything which streams through the internet goes through OTT. Now, we had MPod, which was serving videos, and everything you can see there was served through an Oracle, Monster, monolithic, filled with business logic. It wasn't easy to figure it out what's going where. We had MySQL next to it, and what we said is, OK, so let's break it down into 2 parts. And we wanted to create OVP, which is the online video platform responsible for the things you can see on the screen, and content discovery, which is all the metadata work, all the AI stuff, forecasting, recommendation engine. It's 2 completely different type of work, so we thought it makes sense. We started to experiment with different technologies, Cassandra, Redis, Elasticsearch, and so on. So we broke it down, and what we did by leaving Oracle behind and re-architecting the actual infrastructure behind it is, on that time, this OTT service wasn't used that much. So 200,000 peak concurrency was quite good. And we had a ratio of 50-50 to production to test. So anything you wanted to do to production, you have to double it up because you wanted to be able to test it. So that was the cost involved on that. With this move, we broke 3.6 million concurrent user, and we have roughly 80% production of the infrastructure moving to 20%. And if you remember, the problem statement was, which we get is do more with the same infrastructure. This helped us a lot. So by that time, when we did this, that was clear that this is how we should move forward with everywhere else. So in identity, we had Oracle to host the business logic. Identity is responsible for all kinds of devices, logging in, authenticating into the system. If you have a mobile device, if you watch something from your Q box or your Now TV box or any other service, it will go through identity. So now we started to experiment with Couchbase. We didn't have too much experience. That was about 4 years ago when we started to form the plan. So what we said is, OK, we need to keep business logic because we couldn't imagine how to do it outside of Oracle, so we kept it. We created credential store, profile store for Big Couch and then Couchbase, and the session store. Now, identity at the end merged into one big Couchbase cluster over 6 months' time because we realized that Couchbase is able to handle all of this. In this scenario, we created 4 different vBuckets, created 4 different profiles for that, and only by replacing Oracle with Couchbase, in our use case, from 800,000 users, which was the bottleneck at that time of the issue, which I explained, and 1,500 transactions per second, we moved up to 8 million users and 12,000 TPS. I've got a 10-minute sign already, so I will try to be quicker moving forward. In terms of broadcasting services, we still use Oracle, and this is how an average business logic for one service looks like. So breaking this one down is going to be very challenging. And one thing which I would like to highlight here is our challenge at the moment is whenever we're saying to the teams who are using Oracle that data modeling, the amount of data, and what kind of query are you going to use is the 3 questions which we are asking. They have no clue. They don't really have a way to measure it. And if any one of you know how to do this, please see me after that. But basically, the problem is that data modeling is quite important. If you change that, the query and the amount of data will change. But if that change, the whole plan which you made goes to the trash, and you have to restart it. So it's a nightmare to try to find it. But once you have a quite healthy balance, the replace of Oracle with Couchbase is quite quick. Now, the biggest challenge which we are going to face in the next couple of years is moving digital, which is a whole department holding our digital data. Everything which goes through Twitter, everything which goes through as a commercial, we hold it in this department with a tons of validation, billions of metadata. And this is how the high-level logic looks like. So I know it's not really readable. There is a good reason for that. But what I would like to show is we have a center, an Oracle DB, and the Redis DB. And this department exists in the last, I don't want to lie, 5+ years. And whatever we built 5-10 years ago is still there, and every 2 years something new came in. So you can see here physical machines running on old legacy system and brand new containers running on an immutable environment, all joined together, which cause a nightmare of communication, because what we do is we just transforming and transforming and transforming the data through the whole pipeline. So our challenge here is to re-architect the whole thing. Now, in terms of methodology and what we are doing, I will talk completely different with what you will see on the display. Basically, what I love in terms of department is we're really trying to lead by example for our competitors and other companies within Sky and outside of Sky. If a team, we have over, within our realm, we have over 150 different dev and DevOps teams together. Everybody have the same logic. If you build it, you own it. So every team who needs to solve a software, or sorry, needs to solve a challenge, they have the choice to use whatever they like, open source, non-open source, whatever technology they prefer. But whatever is there and it goes to production, they will be responsible for owning it. So everybody is actually trying to automate and trying to do the best they can in terms of future plans, which is great. But then comes up with the complexity that everybody is trying to reinvent the wheel all the time. So monolithic versus microservice. In terms of how are we doing in an estate, our target is to have our production in a 50-50 environment using the, so as I explained, we have two departments which is going through the transformation. If we can go a 50-50 ratio of at least half of our systems are in microservice in production, that would be great. This is what we are targeting in the near 6 to 12 months. And obviously, the end goal is everything should go to not just microservice, but immutable in the end. Now, in terms of VM and container, not everything makes sense to put the container. But as the day progresses today, you will see that it's getting much, much closer to reality. So our target is to move. At the moment, we have 75% of the production stack in VMs and 25% in containers. We want to turn this around because, which I will say in a few minutes, our target is to have a self-healing, auto-scaling environment, which obviously containerization would be a key for. And infrastructure as code. Now, I'm not sure how you guys are familiar with it, but our target is to try even the persistent stateful sets to be able to just simply drop away and build it as new. If any kind of issue happens, we're just trying to keep the time to recover at the minimum. Now, in terms of problem statement, I'm sorry, I know I'm rushing. Redesigning the architecture of the live service, as I explained, it's very, very challenging to us. Changing the way, and this is also very, very unique to Sky, we are not planning to send away the teams who are responsible for Oracle. What we're trying to do is train them and move them from serving that service and keep the same staff to serve the second service or the same service, but with different tooling. It's challenging because if somebody is used to a monolithic Oracle logic, moving it away for a different scenario. If you say to an Oracle admin, I need you to denormalize your data, that's where the fun starts. Oh, sorry, I missed something. And obviously, convincing the business to invest time and effort to actually allow us to do this, it's the hardest. One of the key which we found is investments drives returns and returns drive investments. It's quite a cool trick when you try to justify why you want to spend 6 months on to do a tool which is actually doing the exact same things which you're already doing it successfully. Now, our experience with Couchbase. I already showed you guys that how much on identity, as just a single example, we have over 20 different use cases where Couchbase is used within our infrastructure state. Now, one of the interesting things is over this estate, we have more than 100 production nodes across multiple teams. But on average, we are running 120,000 ops per second. Couchbase would be able to serve far more, but we just don't need it. We find that Couchbase's sweet spot is if you can hold your data into the memory. So if your stack of, if your target is to have 50 to 150 gigabytes of data quickly available in a resilient, performant manner, we recommend for most of our teams Couchbase because it's just built for that. When you have 800 gigabytes, a terabyte, or more to hold, you may want to look for a different solution because Couchbase does not here to solve everything, but what it is here to solve is doing it quite well. Yeah, and for us, Couchbase and Cassandra is the two technologies which we are using across our estate. And yeah, one last thing, very important to note, in the last 3 years, all of our Couchbase state had 0 minutes downtime, which is, I think, is quite cool. In terms of long-term goals, and you will hear about it a lot, containerizing persistency layers. Thank you. Containerizing persistency layers is a challenge, but as I said, it's today, tomorrow, it's getting much closer to reality. So what we are doing is we're driving our operators and creating a big service on the top of all of these to allow different teams to say, I need a Couchbase cluster in environment X, Epsilon, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, on-premise Kubernetes, and it will be able to be deployed. Now, we work with Couchbase side by side to get the Kubernetes operator up and running. We are very excited to see how it's going to work. At the moment, it's able to deploy and give you the health state. But what we are looking at and what we are working on is auto-scaling when it's needed, forecasting the information. And yes, what we are trying to achieve at the end is remove the complexity and the time needed for the operation to run. And the conclusion, challenges are there. It's not going to be an easy ride, but with the help of Couchbase, it's getting closer and closer every day. We are planning to use containerized persistency layers with infrastructure as a code combined with an operator to be able to drive a self-healing, self-managed environment. And yeah, we're looking forward to see what comes next. Obvious commercial. If any one of you decide that you need a change of scenery because you don't like California but love London, please come and see us. I need to know why. And I know I run out of time. I would like to request 2 more minutes to open up for questions. If you have any, I know I rushed this through, so apologize for that.
Great, thank you, David. Right on time. So there's 5 minutes between the next session. We can take 1 or 2 questions for David, if there are any.
Yes.
You're the head of the persistence team?
That's correct. So
your What is persistence referred to?
Okay, so your question is, what is the persistence team in general? What are we talking about? Data persistency. So what we mean by that is any technology which requires data persistent. So databases, messaging queue systems, analytic systems, and my team is trying to be the expert on those areas which we are, on those technologies which we are leveraging the more. So we are using the Apache Cassandra, DataStax Cassandra, Couchbase heavily, Aerospike, Kafka, Elasticsearch, all of these technologies. We picking 1 or 2 experts on these areas. We're trying to automate, standardize, and drive those technologies, run a tons of POC of new technologies coming in, and we're trying to govern our big technology stack to make sure if we use something, we use it correctly.
Great question. Any other questions? I think we have time for, call it 1 more, and then we'll let you guys go. Yes.
Can you talk about any major issues that you have faced with your Couchbase clusters?
Major issues which we are faced with Couchbase clusters. So negative commercial. We obviously had difficulties. One of these, so our major issues most of the time does not come down to the actual product itself, but how we treat it. So during upgrade, we had once or twice during the last 4 years when we were unable to complete the upgrade and had to roll back to the previous one, which caused us problems, but not production downtime. The other one was sometimes performance related. You heavy queries which were constantly running and we were unable to manage them, and the queries was eating out performance of the cluster. Therefore, the degradation of the available performance of that cluster caused us to build up a queue which we were unable to serve. But we didn't had issues in terms of code base of the Couchbase.
Great. Thank you all very much. Thank you, David. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.